Saying I love you. This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start!
It should be obvious by now that one man is different from another. Some men are very vocal about their feelings. They freely say what they feel for a girl without hesitation. He may say he loves you to signify that he is ready into a serious relationship. Wow! But don't pin all your hopes on those three little words. As I mentioned already, love is a verb, an action word that requires expression. Even if a man tells you that he loves you, you still have to watch out for certain signs so that you'll know whether he meant what he said. Aww. Some men who declare their love become too complacent. They forget to show their love for the woman. They are thoughtful only at the start. But as the relationship progresses, they begin to take the girl for granted.
Oh no!
It's not surprising that a lot of relationships which are sweet in the beginning usually turn sour.
Ew!
The usual reason is that one or both of the partners fail to show genuine relationship.
Yay!
In contrast to men who are very open with their feelings, there are those who don't say much. Sometimes, they don't say anything at all, and they keep you guessing about their feelings. If you find someone like that, don't worry. Maybe he's just too shy to express what he thinks and feels. Remember that boys are not socially conditioned to talk about their emotions. Men don't say I love you, not because they are unsure of themselves, but because they don't know how, and they would rather show their feelings in other ways. They may not give a greeting card for every special occasion, but they may give you one great and memorable gift to celebrate about love. Sometimes you may feel frustrated because although you constantly express your love, he just acts like a robot who doesn't reply at all. But even if you don't immediately know what's in his heart and mind, he may just surprise you one day by taking you to a candlelit dinner or to the concert of your favorite band. No one can really explain that kind of behavior, except the man himself. We can only assume that maybe he hasn't been very open with his feelings because he is still planning a special way of telling you that he loves you. Or maybe, he's preparing something that would signify his lifetime commitment to you. One day, you may realize that he's more in love with you than you had imagined. It just wasn't obvious. However, if you have spent years in relationship without getting a hint that he loves you, then maybe there's something wrong with him or with your relationship. Leave him and find true love elsewhere.
Oh no!
How to know if a man is mature?
This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start! There are lots of things to consider if a man is mature. So, I will give my own list. Number 1, he keeps his promises. Number 2, he knows how to give. Number 3, he seeks advice from others. Number 4, he accepts criticism and admits his mistakes. Number 5, he gives credit to whoever deserves it. Number 6, he knows how to control his temper. Number 7, he knows how to be a peacemaker. Number 8, he knows how to compliment others. Number 9, he is tolerant of other people's imperfection. Number 10, he knows the difference between love and infatuation. And last, which is number 11, he doesn't insist on doing things if you're not ready for it. Guys, remember this. Maturity also involves self-discipline. self-reliance, and independence. A man who has these qualities will most likely be a considerate person who loves and respects others, and is therefore worthy of your respect and love.
Is he a man yet? This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So let's start!
Being physically mature but at the same time mentally and morally young is a complicated stage in one's life. Preparing oneself for maturity means a lot of responsibility to oneself and to others. Being responsible means being accountable for one's own decisions and actions. It also means being sensitive to other people's needs and feelings. Responsibility is essential to being a man, and it only becomes evident once a teenager reaches maturity. Irresponsibility is obvious when a man is incapable of fulfilling his duties, admitting his mistakes, or when he deliberately hurts other people.
Oh no!
Responsibility involves morality, which means being fair and kind in one's dealings with others. However, even responsible teenagers sometimes show a rebellious streak. This is a normal part of growing up. A teenage boy may feel resentful of the rules set by the society, teachers, and parents. He may feel misunderstood. Oftentimes, he may prefer to be in the company of friends and schoolmates, whom he feels understand him better than adults do. A strong sense of responsibility comes with maturity. Being mature means knowing the difference between right and wrong, standing up for one's belief, but also being tolerant of others people's ways. A mature man acts responsibly and thinks about how his actions would affect other people. Physical maturity takes place naturally, but emotional maturity is a lot more complex. People mature at different rates, and it's hard to tell the age when a person achieves maturity. People is a list of qualities that can tell if the man in your life is emotionally mature or not. When a man is goal-oriented.
Oh yeah!
This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So let's start!
When a man is goal-oriented, men are more goal-oriented than women. This is the underlying reason why men are the ones who do the courting, to win her over, to take the necessary step at the beginning of the relationship. He has a goal in mind. During the courtship stage, he calls her all the time, buys her gifts, plans dates, and spends time with her simply to show that he cares. At this time, his goal is to win her affection and become more intimate with her. Courtship is a gradual and progressive way of achieving what he wants in relationship. Once he has won the woman of his dream, when he has made a commitment, things change. Instead of buying gifts, he offers his full income to her. Instead of calling her, he stays with her at home. And more than that, instead of planning weekly dates, he lives with her forever. Commitment tells him to be more responsible and caring throughout their lives. And the moment he has reached his goal, he will not be as concerned with the things he did during the courtship stage because he has already won her love.
Oh no!
Instead, he focuses on the things that will make her stay with him forever. He plans for greater things such as having children, buying a house, and getting a better paying job. All these are signs that the man doesn't lose nor lessen his interest in the relationship. Instead, to achieve greater things to show his love for his wife and their growing family. Thus, the goal-oriented man who was a caring suitor or boyfriend is still the same, one who tries to achieve goals to please his loved one.
Accepting gifts from a man means that you also care about him.
Oh yeah!
This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start! Don't ever accept something from a man who is serious about you if you don't plan to get serious. This could get you into trouble. Once he feels you also like him,
Oh no!
chances are he'll expect you to show the same concern and to put as much effort into the relationship. And even if you are totally in love with a guy, giving something permanent is not a good idea. At least not until you have decided to get married. Love and commitment can be shown even in a simple ways. Let's say you're now in a relationship. You have been spending quality time with him and your friends and family. Know that he is your boyfriend. You are 100% that you're in love with him. The problem is, he hasn't mentioned the love thing to you. You don't know if he loves you in return. You can tell from a man's behavior if he is serious about you. But being in an actual relationship is a different thing. Love is an action word, so it must be felt rather than said. Although, hearing that word gives you security and assurance, a guy may not directly say, I love you, because he may be uncomfortable saying it or he's just waiting for you to say the words first. So if you're ready, just go ahead and say it. If you tell him that you love him, don't expect him to echo the same words, I love you, in a statement that you tell someone willingly and honestly. If you don't get a reply, it doesn't mean you're being rejected. He will say it sooner or later. What's important is that you feel his love. Remember, actions speaks louder than words.
Yay!
Finding true love.
Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So let's start. Once you start going out regularly with someone, you will have a great chance of being involved in a more serious relationship. Most women find true love by going out on dates with a man whom they were only attracted to. As you go through the process of dating, chances are you and the other person will get to know each other very well. You will know his qualities, strengths, even his weaknesses. At a certain point, you may discover that you already love the person and you accept him for who he is. Loving a man means accepting him despite his imperfections. When you feel that way towards a man, you are ready for a commitment. However, getting serious requires a lot of understanding and patience. It has always been said that love is a two-way street. So if you truly care about someone, he will return your feelings and both of you could have a happy relationship in the long run. Sometimes, you may have mixed emotions or doubts about the relationship. You may even feel scared, but such feelings are normal. After all, having a serious relationship is like stepping into alien territory. The key is to get in touch with your feelings. Be honest with yourself and your partner, and discover if the two of you are really meant for each other.
Oh yeah!
From boys to men.
Oh yeah!
Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So let's start.
During infancy, boys cling to their mothers because They are fully dependent on them for breastfeeding and care. When a baby cries, he seeks the caress of his mother. He stops crying once he feels comforted and protected. This is normal for all babies, both boys and girls. As toddlers, young boys begin to identify with their father, patterning their looks, manners, even speech after this role model. Until recently, most little boys have grown up being taught that courage is the main sign of masculinity, so they have to be brave. Their fathers have taught them not to show vulnerability, fear, or need. Showing those emotions is a sign of weakness. All right for girls, but no for boys. A boy who cries or says he's scared is often ridiculed and criticized. A boy who is strong and acts like a man is praised and rewarded. Most boys grow up thinking that it is acceptable to get angry or get into fight, but never to cry or show cowardly behavior. This is a way of thinking, and males carry with them through their teenage years and beyond, and which often influences their relationships with women. How men learn to open up. This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start.
Men are known for being silent. They seldom talk about their feelings. This subject is related to the fact that they cry less because men are trained to be strong and brave. When problems arise, they tend to overcome or conceal their feelings. They think that when they talk, they will be losing part of their masculinity. As far as men are concerned, courage is the mastery of fear. That's why a lot of men are afraid to let others know their fears and pains. They choose to hide behind a brave front. If a man was emotionally wounded in childhood, he may open up to someone close to him, such as his mother or sister, and would not hesitate to talk out the details, especially if he has nurtured his feminine side. But for most males, talking about their feelings is one of the most difficult things to do in a relationship. When men learn to share their feelings because it is an obligatory act, it is an expression of love and trust for their partners. They can feel safe with their partners. They can share their feelings openly and therefore make an important contribution to the relationship.
Yay!
Hit.
When a man is ignoring his family.
This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start. When a man's closeness to his family is reduced, it seems as if the family bond is threatened. Men are known for their hard work and diligence. They work hard because they feel the obligation to provide for their family's need, because a greater time is needed to cope with the demands of his loved ones. He may seem to withdraw from his relationship with them because the time he should be spending with them is taken up by the work. When he focuses on his work to earn more and please his loved ones, he doesn't just ignore them, but he forgets important things. He forgets to empty the garbage, pick up the kids from the school, repair the roof, and so on. This forgetfulness will bring disorder into the relationship. Naturally, it is difficult for women to understand that kind of behavior in men. Women are very different from men in dealing with work and family. A woman could take her husband's indifference as a sign of coldness and worse, lack of love. However, the reason why a man tends to focus on his work is that there are too many problems to solve there. He thinks of his boss, clients, and any other person or thing related to the success of his work. As mentioned earlier, the man who works harder gives more love, for he is inspired to do greater things for the sake of his loved ones. The intimacy and closeness may have been lessened, but it's still there. Eventually, the man will be able to focus on his family again, and the time he would spend with them would be happier and more fulfilling. Men are different in many ways. They also express their love in different ways.
This is Lizelle T. Understanding Men.
So, let's start! Upon meeting a guy, his attitude should who he is and what kind of lover he will be. But no matter what type of guy you meet or date, you should be able to deal with his behavior. Ultimately, you can tell whether a man is right for you based on how you feel about him. Even though a man is head over heels in love with you, nothing will come off if you don't feel the same way about him. But if you love someone, you should be able to accept his quirks, including unusual and often confusing ways by which he expresses his love.
Why does love fade? This is Lizelle T. Understanding Men.
So, let's start!
Many movies, books, and popular songs paint an unrealistic portrait of love. During courtship, a man and a woman may feel that they are experiencing a dream come true. But after a few years of marriage, they conclude that truly, they must have been daydreaming because the storybook romance they were expecting had turned into a nightmare.
Oh no!
Of course, it is only natural to expect love, attention, and support from each other. Yet, even these wishes may go unfulfilled if one in both of the couple feel that they are with the wrong partner. Incompatibility is another reason why love fades. Most people enter marriage with major differences in habits and attitudes, and many couples do not know how to reconcile these differences. Upon realizing that they are not right for each other, and that they can no longer accept each other's mistakes and imperfections, they regret their decision to get married. Every day spent together becomes marked with bitterness and resentment. In most cases, it does not take long for a married couple to discover that they are not as compatible as they seem to be during their courtship. However, sometimes each partner may turn out to be hide an unpleasant character trait that only surpasses later on in the marriage.
When a man doesn't offer advice.
This is Lizelle T. Understanding Men.
So, let's start! Men are not known for being emphatic and sentimental. If they have problem, they will solve it as soon as they can without a lot of emotions involved. They are not trained to support their feelings effectively. Men are known for being factual, straightforward, and frank. They avoid twists and turns in a certain problem. If there is a problem, they get to the solution straight. Men won't waste time talking about the problem because, as I've mentioned many times, they are not used to showing their feelings. One great example is the policeman. When there is a trouble, people call the police station. If the problem involves a woman, the situation tends to get emotional. The policeman would directly ask for the facts relevant to the situation: who, what, when, where, and how. He would rarely ask questions leading to a more emotional answer. He won't ask further because asking a lot of questions and offering empathy is not part of his role as a policeman and as a man. Women should understand that listening to problems without offering solutions could be difficult for men. When a man becomes restless while listening to a woman, it is not because he doesn't love her. It's because he immediately wants to reach the solution rather than talk about it. Discussing a problem too much lessen his eagerness to work on the solution. If a problem is not solved, a man would just say it's alright, no problem, or something to that effect. Women are used to talking things over to arrive at solutions, but when functioned differently, they would rather act on the problem immediately because, for them, talking could delay the solution and make the problem worse.
The blind date. This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start!
A blind date is a common way to get to know other people. But such dates can be risky if you agree to go on a blind date. You're exposing yourself to a potentially awkward situation.
Oh no!
Why? Because you do not know each other well and you do not know what to say or act in the company of other person. What if you don't like the guy that your friend set up with you? What if you find your date boring? How will you escape without being rude? There's no way to leave an awkward date, but perhaps you could come up with a creative vague excuse like a family emergency or a friend in trouble. Or you could secretly call a friend or relative who can come to the rescue. If your date asks if he could see you again, tell him you'll be very busy in the next few months. If you don't communicate with him, he will get the point. Remember that nobody wants an unsuccessful date, but sometimes we have to take action in order to prevent an agonizing and embarrassing incident. When you are asked for a date, this is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start!
A guy who's interested in you will most likely ask you out on a date.
Yay!
If you like him also, and if there are no hindrances like jealous boyfriends or strict parents, then you can easily go out with him. But what if a guy asks you out but you don't particularly like him?
Oh no!
How will you turn down his offer without hurting his feelings? First of all, be honest. Don't go out with someone you don't like or trust. If you think that a man could somehow turn out to be a great date, but you're not sure if you want to go out with him yet because you're still trying to get over your last relationship, then tell him that you need some time to think about his offer.
Hey!
You can go out with new person once, but only when you're ready. If the guy who's asking you out is simply not your type, you can say no in a way that won't offend him. You can even make up excuses like, sorry, but I'm still trying to recover from my recent breakup. In this way, he will not feel rejected and he will understand that you don't want a date for the meantime.
Six things on how to tell if a man is serious about you.
This is Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start! Number 1. He keeps a picture of you in his wallet. Number 2. He knows the details, even little about you, like your favorite food, outfit, hobby, and others. Number 3, he memorizes details such as your cell phone number, student or employee ID, birthday, and others. Number 4, you are the top of his priority list. Number 5, he's always present even when you don't require him to. And number 6, which is the last, he gives you small gifts such as book, a bracelet, or even his bowl cup. If your boyfriend displays such behavior, then most likely, he'll be yours forever.
Yay!
Or you can keep him for as long as your relationship keeps running smoothly.
The blind date. Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start.
A blind date is a common way to get to know other people. But such dates can be risky if you agree to go on a blind date. You're exposing yourself to a potentially awkward situation.
Oh no!
Why? Because you do not know each other well and you do not know what to say or act in the company of other person. What if you don't like the guy that your friend set up with you? What if you find your date boring? How will you escape without being rude? There's no way to leave an awkward date, but perhaps you could come up with a creative vague excuse like a family emergency or a friend in trouble. Or you could secretly call a friend or relative who can come to the rescue. If your date asks if he could see you again, tell him you'll be very busy in the next few months. If you don't communicate with him, he will get the point. Remember that nobody wants an unsuccessful date, but sometimes we have to take action in order to prevent an agonizing and embarrassing incident. Reason why marriage is important. Lizelle T. Understanding men.
So, let's start.
It's been said that much of life's happiness and much of its misery come from the same source. One's marriage. Indeed, few things in life have the potential to provide as much happiness or as much anguish. Every marriage that sinks, countless others remain afloat, but stuck in stagnant waters. For example, a woman married for 12 years would comment that her marriage became horrible over the past 5 years because her husband has lost interest in her. Not only did he become dissatisfied with the relationship, he also became her worst enemy. For some men, it is easy to fall in love but not to stay in love. Nowadays, the proliferation of loveless marriages is not surprising. Marriage is a complex human relationship, and many enter it with little preparation. As in any part of life, we are bound to get proficient in it eventually. Since marriage requires proficiency in a relationship, people may find it hard to cope if they don't have enough experience with relationships. The engagement stage prior to marriage gives the couple an idea of what marriage life would be like because some people are too eager to start a relationship. Their relationship suffer eventually. But is the man always the one to be blamed for the failure? Not really. In some cases, it is the woman who causes the breakdown of the relationship. Usually, a marriage fails because one or both spouses enters marriage with unrealistic expectation, or they lack the skills necessary to face the challenges of marriage life and to sustain a long-term commitment. Who you are, a message to all men. You are strong, you are brave, you are capable. You are part of the Lord's most valuable creation. You have ability. You have potential. You have gifts given to you by the Lord. You have talents to share with the world. You have joy to spread with. You have jokes to tell, kind words to give, and wisdom to discuss. And that joy will change people. You are full of more amazing qualities, traits, virtues that you could ever imagine. Regardless of who you may think you are, the reality is that you have a responsibility because you have the power inside of you. You are the Son of the living God. You are awesome! Hit like and subscribe!